Welcome to the No Spin Dash Zone. I'm your host, Isaiah, and I'm joined with Steven.
Hi.
And Charlie.
Hey.
This week, we are playing Sonic the Fighters for the arcade, which none of us were able to play in an arcade,
Well,
obviously.
I played it at Galloping Ghost.
Oh, yeah, you were able to play that. That's right.
Did it feel better than a friggin' GameCube controller?
Yes, it did.
Oh,
but
I
also it has that
imagine why.
awkward, arcade feel because you're not used to it as much.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
like playing with a stick instead of a stick.
Yeah, stick instead of a stick. So the way Steven and I played it is... Well, first, the way Charlie played it was, aside from then, he also played it in Sonic Gems Collection, because that's where I think that's probably where most people played it, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's the only place I ever played it.
It was or is available on PSN Xbox Live Arcade, I think. It's not on Steam, which is awful, but, you know.
Yeah.
Hey, someday Christian Whitehead will get to this one.
We need a Christian Whitehead port.
Hey guys, here's the port you didn't ask for, but we're giving to you.
That's... You know what? That's the ideal port. No, wait, I take it back. That's the normal port. So the way Steven and I played it was we emulated Sonic Gems Collection on the computer, which was 2 degrees of emulation, which is a lot of emulation. So there was a little bit of a performance issue.
Yeah, that was the only way for us to play it online because the GameCube's netcode isn't great.
Yeah.
And I wanted to fight somebody.
Yeah,
Charlie was well enough with just playing the one-player mode, but I wanted to beat someone up.
I mean, I've had my fair share of playing this 2-player in the past, but...
Yeah.
Right.
I think we've all played this game before, extensively.
With freaking GameCube controllers.
But,
oh my god.
but you know
it's
what?
an awkward fit.
Is that the last time I played this game, I didn't know anything about fighting games. It's a fighting game, by the way, Sonic the Fighters.
Let's not mince words. It is Virtua Fighter.
I'm actually not familiar with Virtua Fighter.
It is a 3-button fighting game. You've got punch, you've got kick, you've got guard, but the important thing is that combinations of those buttons do slightly different things. That's why to grab in this game, you have to do block and punch with back instead of just, a normal button. Or maybe your light buttons together. Neither of those things work for you to grab. It's also... What's up, Charlie?
I tend to not trust fighting games that have a block button.
Yes, it's dubious as hell.
Yeah, especially, so this game, you have, 5 barriers, and if they get broken by heavy attacks, and...
They can get eaten through pretty easily.
Yeah, and if you run out, then you just don't have any more blocks for the rest of the match.
Yeah, and then if your character has a spin dash, they win.
Yeah, spin dashes can break, up to 3 barriers in one attack. Usually just 1, but it really depends on proximity. And it's crazy. It's really dumb.
Yeah, I think the barrier system is something that's not in Virtua Fighter, to my understanding, but I haven't played a ton of it myself. I've only really messed with, the 5th one on PS3 or something.
Yeah.
But it fits the Sonic theme because barriers, of course, items.
Yeah. I don't like the barrier system, at all.
I do. It's way more interesting than just if this were just Virtua Fighter, but simpler for people who like Sonic.
Well, it's interesting, but that doesn't mean that it works or is good.
Well, why is it bad?
Well, okay, so there's a bit where, number 1, spin dashes, become overpowered, immediately.
Well, yeah, then don't get your barrier broken. It's like a punishment for just being defensive.
Sure. And then the other thing is, when your barriers don't come back in the next round, I think that's especially where it becomes an issue for me, is that you have 5 barriers across, possibly 3 rounds, and so if they break all in the first round, then you're not going to last the next couple of rounds.
I mean, if you're playing so defensively that your guard gets broken in the first or second round, chances are you're not winning anyway. That's
fair. That is fair. It's also, it's, especially playing single player, it's a very, prime strategy to be alright, I'm gonna break the opponent's shields, and then they just are going to be defeated.
Not always the best option.
Yeah, not always, but it depends on where you are.
And the thing with having a block button is that I block a lot less often. Or dodge. There's also a dodge, which is just hitting all 3 buttons together, but on the GameCube it's just hitting Z.
Yeah, I never got good with that.
Yeah, same here.
I can do that in another game that we play that's a lot like this is Naruto Clash of Ninja. It's a 2-button fighting game, but it also has like a dodge back and forth, foreground, background type thing, and I can do that a lot easier. But I think in this game there's more animation on it, so it's harder to time. And also attacks in this game just kind of like flap around more. Weird.
There's another thing which I am not a fan of at all, but I don't like there's not really an easy fix to this, I guess. Which is that whenever anybody takes damage, you hear the sound of them losing rings, and that's every hit in the game. Like,
I mean, fighting games have people like shouting things all the time, also, and like just repeated clips and stuff. I think that's pretty standard fare, whether it's good or not.
It really starts to grate on you, though. I don't know. I would like it a lot more if it was reserved for like just heavy attacks. You know?
No, because when you get hit in Sonic, you lose rings.
That's true. It just got really annoying.
How else is this going to be a Sonic game? Like, is it just like you put Sonic characters in it and then it's just Virtua Fighter?
Yeah. Sonic Virtua Fighter. Sonic the Virtua Fighters.
God damn it.
Is this game called something else in other places?
Isn't it like Tournament something?
Sonic.
Let me look real quick.
Yeah. Because I remember that being true, but I don't remember what it was called.
Sonic the Tournament Fighters.
Sonic Championship is what my brain thinks.
Yeah, it's Sonic Championship.
Oh, sweet! I remembered something.
Although that's what it's
Good
called
job.
in the Western arcade machine. It's still called Sonic the Fighters in Japan.
So it's the other way around.
Yeah.
So I don't know that much about fighting games as compared to either of you, but especially you, Steven.
Okay.
What?
Anything else to that thought?
just sort of how does this compare aside from Virtua Fighters with Sonic themes? Like, how does it hold up as a fighting game?
I mean, Virtua Fighter works, so this game works. It's just a clone. Like, the control scheme is exactly the same. The biggest difference is that the character models are like a different shape, and I'm sure that affects hitboxes. Because it seems like in this game, your moves hit from a bigger distance.
Yeah.
Like, there's basically just far away and up close. It doesn't feel as like nuanced as a lot of games.
Well, everybody's tiny in this game, but the whole you
actually feel kind of huge.
Yeah.
The map is very small in this game.
Yeah, everybody's like
They're
short
just short.
and fat.
Do you mean like they're
close
short?
together? Yeah.
That doesn't really matter. There's not a lot of jumping in this game. It's like, if you haven't played Virtua Fighter, then I think another comparison to make is Soul Calibur, where jumping doesn't really give you a lot. It's mostly just for avoiding low attacks.
Which is fairly accurate.
There is a move in this game where if you hit up but you don't jump, you just hit up and a button at the same time, you can like do a sort of homing attack on your opponent.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like useful, but that's really separate from jumping. But basically, the key difference is that I think it's a lot simpler. Like, hitboxes are a lot bigger, so it's easier to play for a younger audience.
Mm-hmm.
And like, the matches feel a little bit faster.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just because like I'm not used to playing it or what, or like the defense is difficult.
Definitely, the matches are very fast. I think the amount of health is like low. Like, especially the character Bark, the polar bear, right? He does a lot of damage. He has an attack that can do half of your health. So like the matches are very fast.
I don't think the health is any lower than Virtua Fighter, because that's what I'm comparing it to in terms of differences.
Yeah.
But it's competent. Like, when you hit something happens. It's not the type of game where it takes a long time, or where like it's difficult to tell what's going on. Like, you can usually see what's going on right away as soon as you hit a button.
It's pretty fast paced, but they also give you a generous amount of time.
Yeah,
that's true.
You can also change the settings, at least in the Gems Collection version.
Yeah, you can, but
I don't know about the arcade version, the original one.
I remember going to your house and you had it was like best of 5 rounds or something. You had an obscene amount of rounds.
I was like, well, because it was too short. I think for me at the time, I was like, it needs to be longer in order to really know who wins.
Yeah, but for me, it was just really irritating.
Yeah, well,
because I just want to go.
So I never played fighting games. This and Naruto Clash of Ninja were basically the only 2 fighting games that I played as a kid, and that pretty much has stayed true.
Yeah, you've never played Smash Bros. Before.
I've never played. Well, okay.
You know, the most complicated fighting game ever.
That is okay. Super Smash Bros. Melee is literally the first video game I've ever played. But if you exclude the Smash games,
it's also the best Smash game.
So moving on, Uh, so the art in this game is pretty good, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like a very obvious polygon.
Like, it's
not
really,
like, texture.
low poly, like, very simple textures, but it works really well to me.
I mean, it's
Believe it or
low
not.
poly, but it's, like, very high poly for the time.
Yeah, the first few Virtua Fighter games also look like this. They have low poly characters and the like ring style match or like stages.
I don't know. I mean,
but it does work. It's like the original Star Fox. It's really cool to see the polygons because the minimalism is used properly.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I have to wonder about is what was the like definition of this game? Like how big crunched was it in the original versus what we're seeing in this like port, right? Because it's pretty like I guess standard definition because it's GameCube, right? But you can see where the polygonal edges are, and there's no, because with Star Fox it's very bit crunched, you know.
Well, the original Star Fox like looks fine.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it looks bad, right? Alright, I actually can't play this with you right now while we're doing the podcast because I will not be able to, like, do both.
Look, man.
Look, behind the scenes...
It's time to fight.
You can cut this out or not. Behind the scenes, Steven messaged me. He goes, hey, fight me in this game.
I was wondering what that meant.
Yeah, he's just trying to get me to play around with him. The problem is, number one, if I play, the clicks of my controller will show up, and number two, I will
put it under a blanket.
I will either be terrible at doing the podcast, or I'll be terrible at the game, or both. And I'm already
just be bad at the game, but I need to play more.
Jesus. But you know,
do you need me to run the show now?
The game looks really good. Like that's just my opinion, but I really like the visual style of the game, and you know,
the stages are also really nice. Like
they're really cool.
Canyon Cruise is like on a river that's going. You like go under structure, so it gets a little dark for a while.
Yeah.
There's Flying Carpet, which is on a magic carpet with a little, you know, it's the theme being of the music is a little Arabian. I'll talk about the music later.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's the casino stage with the.
All right, I'm way too mind flooded. I cannot play this game. I'm very sorry, Steven.
Just let me take care of it. Just let me take care of it. We're gonna listen to some smooth jazz.
All right.
Which stage has the smooth jazz music?
I don't know. What's funny is that I for some reason I thought the music in Sonic stage kind of sounded like The Wheel in the Sky by Journey just for the intro part, but now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I'm a fucking idiot as a kid.
As a kid, we were all idiots.
Alright, I'm just gonna talk about the music because, you know, Sega Sonic the Hedgehog like really embodied like the classic arcade for like platformers and whatever, but like this game like really amped it up for like a fighting game. Like you hear like the intro music, you're like, if you were in an arcade, you'd be like, what the hell is that? What is that like pumping music? And you go over there and it's freaking 3D Sonic punching the crap out of Amy like it's domestic violence.
Jesus. That was the example. You were like, all right, these two characters, Sonic the hero and Amy, the person that in normal circumstances he saves.
Which, by the way, is like the first time we ever see Amy with her hammer, at least.
Yeah, I was gonna say. She has a hammer in this game. This is the first video game where she has a hammer.
She's got like the classic like toy hammer, like squeaky toy hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it became a staple of her, like especially in Sonic Adventure.
Do you know? You wouldn't know this, Charlie, but do you know, Steven, if like she has a hammer, or is she even a character in the comics at this point? I guess.
Yeah, she gets introduced in the Sonic CD special.
Oh, okay. Does she have a hammer by this point in the comics?
She's like, she fits the damsel. Well, actually, you know what? Does a kid count as a damsel in distress?
I mean, yeah, but
she's a child.
Like,
she's she's a youth.
It's a soft damsel.
I've heard like you know, the niece and Inspector Gadget refer to a damsel in distress.
Okay, well then Amy fits the damsel in distress role. She doesn't like take a lot of action in her first appearance.
Yeah.
And I don't think she appears a couple times after that, but I don't think she like works with the team very much.
The bit about the damsel in distress trope is that like typically if there is a person in distress, like it tends to be a woman more often than a man, and that's what's up with that trope.
Well, yeah, but Amy is neither. She's a girl. She's like a little girl. She is a kid.
But you don't have to see like a young boy being held hostage, right?
Tails gets that.
No, that's true. In that's Sonic 1 for the Game Gear, right? That he gets taken hostage.
Yeah, I mean, also just like in general, it seems like he's having a tough time. But I think in the comics, he's like subject to a lot of like schemes.
Yeah, schemes. That's accurate. But yeah, so I guess this is the first time that she really has a hammer. And I support this character development.
Yeah, very momentous occasion.
I also doubt that like they would take a page from the comics because this is a very Japanese game.
Well, that's true.
It's
but
also a very
Bean
Japanese like thing to have a hammer. So I'm just saying it's very unlikely that it introduced it before this game did.
Mm-hmm. But like Mean Bean Machine, right, is based on the TV show. So
yeah, but that was like Western developed.
That's
a
Western
localization.
Developed.
That's true. Both that game and the TV show were Western, I believe, right?
Same with Spinball.
Yeah.
And going back,
I believe there's only one like external media thing that's Japanese for Sonic, which is there was like a manga for a while.
Oh yeah. Well, there was also
the
the
OVA.
OVA.
Was in that. I think it was just Sonic.
There was
yeah. That's what I'm just saying that the shit that we have is not in Japan at all.
Yeah. Well, okay. So there was the OVA, and then there was Sonic X. Was Japanese.
Sonic X was the first thing, but that came out like well after Sonic Adventure came out.
That's true. You're not.
I'm talking about
that.
like our era that we're discussing right now.
Yeah.
And the OVA was not. When did that come out?
That had to have been the 90s, right?
Yeah, no, it was. But I mean, like, what game did it come out for?
Charlie, are you looking it up?
Yeah, I am.
All right.
So
it wasn't like a separate universe, was it?
It came out like 5 months before this game came out.
Oh
okay.
Wow.
So that was actually after like Sonic was like a platformer.
Because like
Yeah.
Knuckles
By the way,
and Metal Sonic.
for the
Knuckles
next
has a
few
hat.
games, for the next few games, we don't really play like Sonic platformers anymore.
Yeah. What's our
like-
next few games? We have 3D Blast, right?
Yeah, 3D Blast is the next one. I guess I think Sonic Blast, just no 3D, might be a 2D platformer, but it's still like a very separate thing.
Yeah. Sonic.
But we've got that. We've got what is? You made me blank on the list now.
Sonic
Here, I
R.
have to open it up. Yeah, Sonic R. That's the
Wait,
next
I have
one.
the
Yeah,
schedule
we
in
got
front of
Sonic
me.
R.
What am I doing? And Sonic Jam,
Sonic-
but I don't.
Sonic Jam.
And that's it. That's it.
I think we're gonna switch the order of R and Jam. We're gonna play R. We're going to be playing 3D Blast, R, and then we'll do a little bit on Jam, and then that'll also be like our wrap up for this sort of season episode.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
I'm down with
So
that.
essentially, we're gonna cover we're gonna look back, talk a little bit more about the general vibe of this era of Sonic.
Behind
then-
the scenes.
Yeah, and then we'll discuss like plans for the future of the podcast.
Yeah.
And we'll probably do like a final rating on things, like a top 10 or whatever.
I want to call this like set of episodes, the like leading up to that. I want to call that Act 1, but we're calling our episodes acts, so I can't do that.
Well, then this is the first zone.
This
then,
is the
I
first
guess.
zone with like 15 acts.
Yeah, it's like Knuckles Chaotix.
Oh my god. Okay,
Oh, no.
we're going off track because I want
Yeah.
to talk about the music more. Do you guys have a favorite track?
Yes.
I kind of just like the character select song.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, that's another like get hype song.
So
Yeah.
so top 2 for me. I can't decide which I like more, right? The character select screen, which is just really good.
There's 2 versions of it, right?
Yeah, there is. I don't know
there
when
is-
the other one plays, but it's on the soundtrack as a
I'm
bonus
pretty
track.
sure it's unreleased. Like I'm pretty sure it's one of those like we didn't use it in the game, but it's like
Right.
it's in the files.
I feel like I've heard it before though. I could be wrong, but
The other one for me is what is it? Great Wing? The
Giant Wing,
Giant Wing. Yeah.
Sonic Stage.
Yeah. I
Oh,
really
that's
like
right.
that
That
one.
is Sonic Stage. That's so weird.
Yeah, it's like a
Why is that
freaking
not-
bomber plane from World War II, and you're just
Well,
fighting on top of it.
I
Yeah,
kinda
like
feel
Knuckles gets Green Hill Zone, or not Green
Almost
Hill,
South
like the
Highland, which is
equivalent.
basically Green Hill Zone.
almost
you get-
everybody's stages are kind of weird. Like it's weird that Amy gets a magic carpet.
Well, Barks and Bean. By the way, there are 2 new characters introduced in this game: Bark the polar bear and Bean the dynamite. They don't ever show up again.
Yeah, that's true.
They're kind of
For,
in
like,
Mania,
other
right? Like,
cameos, though, but-
Yeah, they're
Yeah, I was gonna
referenced
say-
in Mania.
well,
but-
no, like you fight them, don't you? One of the guys transforms into them,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's right.
But
Yeah.
but you can't play as them, which
No.
is weird.
before you like go into the characters, I just wanted to say that my favorite track was Flying Carpet, and
Oh yeah.
I also like the intro song because it gets you hyped.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the intro song is cool.
Yeah, Bean and Biting.
Bite and Bean.
Bean and Bark are new characters, and they were also in like a Sega Mega Mix Fighter after this, I think.
Oh, okay.
So
I
forgot about that.
Wasn't there also there was like another character that was planned for this game that's in that?
Yeah,
like,
no,
Honey?
well, I don't know if she's in it, but right.
Well, Honey, I think she's in like the files or something. There's some stuff.
The thing is, in the Xbox Live version and the PSN version, you can play as Honey by like just hitting like a command on the select screen for verses.
Yeah,
and the same
she's like a secret character.
The same with the Rocket Metal, who you see in the intro for the game, but you only face Metal Sonic later on. And you can also play as Eggman as he appears in the final boss if you press start.
So we should talk about that then, right? The arcade mode situation.
Well, I kind of want to talk about Honey since Steven mentioned her, because she's kind of an interesting character, because she's based off of a character from another Sega fighting game called Fighting Vipers. So she's like...
Yeah, that's right.
Because it's the same like character model designer from there, which is weird because this game doesn't necessarily look like the same kind of 3D as Virtua Fighter, but it's more like
this
what
is
you
actually
expect from like Tekken or something.
This is actually the first time I've heard of this character somehow.
What?
I think you're lying.
It's all over the place. Yeah, I think you're just forgetting it.
You know what? It's very likely that I'm forgetting everything all the time.
She's very cute and has like a nice outfit that's very stand-out-ish.
All right,
she's designed. What the animal version of her is designed kind of like Amy, but a little more like mature.
Yeah.
All right, I'm like, googling her. Honey the cat.
She has the weird like dress thing where like all female Sonic characters have to wear clothes.
Yeah,
this is frilly and like gothic.
This is very decidedly a Sonic character, and also like really weird for a Sonic character.
Oh, also like, so in the game there's like mirror versions in arcade mode, which, by the way, I like how it makes an explanation for mirror fights. Like Eggman,
I like
there's
that
a little
as well.
cutscene of Eggman just coming in and copying him. But Honey's looks like it's kind of like yellow hair with blue, as opposed to like the red.
Yeah,
and
she's
the
got like a
black hair.
traditional 2P like fighting game outfit.
But she that version of her appears in the Fighting Vipers intro as well as the Rocket from this game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
I didn't know that.
That's a good transition for arcade mode. I'm jumping around a lot. So this game has a plot. Like a lot of fighting games have a plot, but it's kind of like the same one for everyone, so it's not a special.
Yeah.
But like basically, Eggman makes a Death Egg 2, which looks awesome, by the way. It's huge. It's got like these satellites extending it. It's like there's no purpose for it because you're never gonna visit any of it because there's only 2 Death Egg stages, and you gotta fly up there with like this Tails rocket. I think it has a special name.
The T-Fox.
The Tornado 2. No, that's the later game.
But like
D-Fox.
Here.
The Gray Fox?
The Lunar Fox is what it's called.
Foxhound.
It's called
Star Fox?
Lunar Fox.
Star Fox Command?
I'm gonna come over there and punch you.
Star Fox Assault.
Okay.
Star Fox Zero? Because it came out
Stop it!
before Star Fox 1 did?
Alright, you gotta fly the Lunar Fox, but it needs some power supply. And you know what that power supply is?
Yeah.
Is it 8 Chaos Emeralds?
Is it all
Chaos
8?
Emeralds.
Is it possibly all 8 of the 7 Chaos Emeralds?
It's 8 Chaos Emeralds.
They're
not even the right
such
color.
A powerful rocket that Tails had to invent another Chaos Emerald.
Hey, you know what? To be fair, he did do that later in the games. He does that in Sonic Adventure 2.
How did you know it was a fake? Because you just told me.
Jesus.
I'm trying to find like the colors of the emeralds because there's like they're all matching the colors, which unfortunately results in 2 purple emeralds because there's only one.
Boy.
So that's one of the extras. And Barks is like a kind of a tan, which I guess is supposed to be the gray silver emerald. And
yeah,
it's it's whatever. But it's just hilarious that we gotta have 8 characters, so I guess we're gonna have to go with 8 emeralds. They could have like made Knuckles the final boss and gave him Master Emerald, but no. We're gonna, the first Sonic had 6 emeralds, so why don't we just go and do 8?
Yeah.
But
it's a little bit silly.
And
I like the idea that the emeralds are so chaotic, like there's so much chaos that there just isn't the same amount every time.
So my theory is that in the Sonic universe there just isn't Like, there isn't a set number of Chaos Emeralds. There's a lot more than 7. It's just that you can only really collect a certain amount before something crazy happens and they separate again. Like, you just run out of the ability to collect them.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, and here's my explanation, right? Because
what if that were the case for like beans or like video games?
Well, okay, beans and video games are not an infinite source of chaos energy, unlike the Chaos
Have you been
Emeralds.
on the internet lately? I think that video games are an infinite source of chaos energy.
That's a fair point. But yeah, well, everybody knows there are only 8 video games.
No, there's obviously more, but they stop existing when you get too many.
Yeah.
Quote
well,
Isaiah.
Look, it's not a fully thought out theory, but the reason I believe that is because in a lot of games, it's just like, oh, collect the Chaos Emeralds, and it's like not always about that. Like in Tails Adventure, right? You can just casually find the Chaos Emeralds lying around. Like there's no special stage or anything like that. It's just on the ground, and then you pick it up, and it's like, cool, here's 10 more rings. So right. I kind of feel like the phrase Chaos Emeralds refers to different things. Like there is no set definition of what a Chaos Emerald is. It's just a jewel that has a lot of chaos energy, like, in it.
Yeah, the issue with that is that there are definitely only 7 Super Emeralds.
Yeah, no, for sure, there's only 7 Super Emeralds.
So then what the fuck is that?
Well, because the Master Emerald, right, in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which that's canonically what it is, right? It's not just an 8th Emerald that's really big.
Yeah, that's the first appearance of it, and it's in the comics too.
Yeah. So, like, that's at that point, you can't get around that established lore, and shouldn't, because there shouldn't be a different amount of... I think there's 8 in Tails Adventure as well.
I mean, yeah, like the weird side games that are made by different companies obviously don't follow the same rules.
I mean, yeah, you could also chalk it up to they didn't care. Like, they were just like, you have 10 stages, so the first 8 are going to be Chaos Emeralds, and then the last 2 are going to be 2 bosses.
Yeah, I think that Sonic 3 decidedly shows there are definitely 7. There are 7 spots for these. There are only 7.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely only 7, but sometimes there's a different amount.
Yeah, it's when you've got just the first Sonic game, which for no real actually, you know what? He can't go Super Sonic in the first Sonic game because he never gets all 7. So it just makes sense.
My actual theory of how Sonic 1 works is that they're trying to get the 6 Chaos Emeralds, and in the second game they're like, oh wait, there's one more. And so, like...
Now he can go Super Sonic.
Yeah, now he can go Super Sonic, and now Eggman's like, oh, well, I have to go after that Chaos Emerald too. So one thing I wanted to mention real quick is the way the eyes work in this game. This is going to be a small... excuse me. This is going to be a small detail for most people, but I just want to appreciate the way the, like, dots of the eyes in this game are textures on the big ol' eyeballs, right? And they sort of shift around dynamically to, like, sort of react to the situation. And that's the sort of thing that a lot of games do, especially, like, later games in video game history. It's pretty much the same way that eyes work in Zelda Twilight Princess, right? You have a texture and you just sort of shift it around. But the fact that the eyes are so huge in this game makes it so that sort of detail is, like, really easy to notice, and if that weren't there, everything would look way creepier. Like if eyes were just sort of like statically looking in the same direction at all times. And I just think it's a really like interesting detail that, especially because everybody's eyes are shaped a little bit differently, it has to be like sort of programmed a little bit differently. I just wanted to bring attention to that.
Yeah, I think it's neat. I also just like how expressive the faces are in general.
Oh, absolutely. Like, the cartoony art style, like, really helps add, like, sort of emotions to the game.
So, who's your guys' favorite character to play as?
It's Amy, but I'm good at Knuckles.
For me, it's Bean, but I'm good at Sonic.
I'm sorry, Isaiah.
Yeah, it's a rough life.
Bean is pretty cool.
So
Go ahead.
So as Sonic, right, I got used to this crutch of here's an attack that just will work against computers, and it will take away half of their health, and it just will work, right? And so I just got very good at using that and never learned how to play any other character. And so this week I was trying to branch out and play other characters, but as you experienced, Steven, I did not get very good at any character. So,
you say
whoops.
that as if we didn't have a 50-50 spread on wins and losses.
That's true. Maybe it was something just about the
I
how
think
aggressive
just
you were
psychologically
verbally.
You feel inferior in fighting games.
That's true, but also every word out of your mouth when we were playing made me feel bad.
That's because it's trash talk.
I don't do trash talk very well.
You do though, because you say these snide, sarcastic things that are so infuriating, and then you just walk them off like it's no big deal. You're like, oh, it wasn't trash talk. I'm just telling you the truth.
I'm
and
not.
It's like, whoa.
I mean, it sounds pretty brutal when you put it that way.
It is. It's so brutal. Mine is silly. I'm just get fucked, and you're like,
you're like
oh
saying
yeah,
things.
you're so good at fighting games, Steven, and then you beat me, and I'm like, fuck you, you awful person.
So the bit, I think, is that you're saying things in a mean way, and I'm saying mean things in a casual way, and it doesn't even register in my brain that I'm being just as ruthless as you are.
You're being just a closet savage.
A closet savage. That's completely correct.
And it's twice as fucked because of that. Because you can tell I don't mean it when I say I'm going to kill you.
That's true.
Are you saying Isaiah's a hustler?
No, not a hustler. Just he's a quiet bitch.
Quiet bitch. It's the quiet ones you gotta look out for.
That's the name of my new thriller film.
Comedy special.
Comedy special.
Comedy special. It's a stand-up comedy routine of me speaking very softly into the microphone, telling soft jokes.
For a perfect example of Isaiah's quiet bitch attitude, of his closet savage attitude, I said that spin dashes in this game felt a little bit broken because they basically function as a Shoryuken from Street Fighter, where they have this sort of invincibility and they're really hard to manage if you can't block.
Yeah.
And to illustrate this, I just started using them a whole bunch. But at this point, Isaiah actually started blocking, which he hadn't been doing for the whole fight. So basically, he blocked them 3 times in a row, and he was like, "Yeah, they're really bad. We need to fix them." And I was like, "You
I do think they're
enemy
really
of all mankind."
That was like 30% sarcastic and 70% genuine. I do think those
you
attacks...
cannot say that after blocking it 3 times in a row because you're the first person in mankind to actually be able to use a block button effectively. It's God, block buttons. And then be like, yeah, they're really good.
Oh, all right. So, Isaiah roasting aside, I wanted to go back to the story because after that cutscene, you just kind of you face everyone in a fixed order to get the emeralds. So the order is Knuckles, Amy, Bark, Espio, Tails, Fang, Bean, Sonic, and of course you mirror match if you face yourself, but.
You still fight them in the same order, even
exactly.
Yourself,
That's what I'm saying.
So if you're playing as Sonic, you do the mirror match last, but if you're playing as Knuckles, you do the mirror match first, because that's the order in which those fights happen.
Also, there's a special theme for Sonic versus Knuckles, but if you're doing Knuckles versus Sonic, it doesn't play, which is whatever. But
it's a little silly.
It's kind of an intense theme to just play at the beginning. And then, but it would be so much more thematic at the end for Knuckles, but it just doesn't happen. But
oh well.
After you get the emeralds, you take the Lunar Fox and go up to the Death Egg 2, and you fight Metal Sonic, and he's a bitch.
He sucks. He's the worst. He doesn't suck in the way that he's not good at this game. He is very good at this game, and that's what sucks.
Sometimes I can get he's just an easy stomp, but other times it's no.
So I don't know what it was like for you, Steven, but when I was playing this, emulating it, the performance was particularly bad during the Metal Sonic fight.
Yeah, and it's weird because that fight doesn't have a lot of assets or anything.
Yeah. So what would happen is I would lose over and over, and it would take forever to happen. It's just dying slowly the video game.
I just didn't carry on after that. I didn't like. I've beaten the game before, so I didn't really care about doing it this time.
I like how Metal Sonic has just like this death beam and a Psycho Crusher that just like all the far-reachingness of it.
His Psycho Crusher can actually do more than half of your health. Like, there were 2 separate instances where I avoided all of his attacks, but I got hit by 2 Psycho Crushers and I was gone.
It's usually the laser.
It's so frustrating.
That's why you gotta block it.
Look, you can't block the Psycho Crusher.
Well, it barrier breaks, doesn't it? But you can still block it, right?
I think, yeah, you can do that. I think you're actually supposed to, like, walk around it, but we, like, we never, like, got good at doing that. Or at least I certainly didn't.
Also, when you hit Metal Sonic, he, like, has little sparks coming out of him, or nuts or whatever, and it makes, like, a very, like, stock sound effect.
As in and bolts, right? Not as in, like, pea or macadamia?
Yes. But
I was gonna go with a different joke, but I think yours is probably more appropriate.
And it makes like a very like cliche metal sound effect. It's like have you ever played Pokemon Stadium?
Yes.
And played the hardening minigame?
Yeah.
It makes that noise when like you hit like when the rock hits a harden.
Like ding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like very
Pokemon
quiet.
Stadium.
And you have to like really kind of listen for it. And then after you beat Metal Sonic, and this was something I mentioned when we were talking about Sega Sonic, you face Eggman, but you have like 15 seconds to do it, or maybe it's even 10 seconds, but it like really makes me anxious. Like there's a cutscene with the countdown, and you're just wasting time as you're like rising this very slow platform like you're playing Sonic Adventure 2.
Yeah, the countdown like ticks down during the cutscene, and you're like, wait, no, let me play this section. I'm gonna lose.
Have any of you beaten Eggman in this? Like,
yes. I found it very easy to do.
Yeah. It can be
like
easy,
said,
but if you're not like if you're not like keeping in mind stuff, you can like slip
like
up.
the game wants you to panic. Like it gives you a very small amount of time, and it's very easy to do it within that small amount of time as long as you don't as long as you use that time.
Yeah.
You know.
And
so I'm sorry. If you get to the end. You go into this like special mode where you can do combos better.
Oh right, there's a hyper mode.
Yeah,
it's like X Factor from.
It's just when you
Capcom.
use your barrier to enter the mode.
It's when you use your barrier to enter the mode, but it's unlimited in this 15-second section. And if you're able to get to this section without losing any matches, and you're playing a Sonic, then instead of that, you start playing a Super Sonic.
Which I've never done, because I never played a Sonic.
I did as a kid, but I could not recreate that this week. Because screw it. I kept losing over and over to Metal Sonic. When I got to it, I was like, I'm not going to try again. Screw that. That was half an hour I was trying to fight Metal Sonic.
I mean, you do have save states, though.
That's true.
You can't... So, when you beat, like, the Death Egg, it does, like, an explosion. Kind of like a Death Star, but it's, like, a really low frame, like, polygonal explosion, like you see like panels of rectangles. And I have to like mention sound effects because I noticed this time when it exploded, it makes the rocket launcher sound from GoldenEye. And it's like I can't unhear it. Oh my god, this game. And then you get,
Metal Sonic's grab where he picks you up and then just drops you is really, really good.
I think that's actually a grab that Tails has too.
Tails has it, but doesn't look as cool because he doesn't spin around and have fire coming out of his back.
That's fair. Now, you cannot fight Rocket Metal Sonic.
Right.
No, he's not.
He's like a beta character as far as I'm aware.
He's in the file. The thing is, you can do a lot of things in this game where you can hack it and replace character models, and he's one of the models you can replace with, but I think that's just because he's in a cutscene.
Right, but you can play as him in the PSN and 360 version.
Yeah. Is Honey in the files for this game?
I think so.
Okay. I couldn't remember. I know that she has an icon, like a character select icon that's in the game, but I couldn't remember if her model was or not.
So when I googled Sonic the Fighter's Honey, the first result was an actual 3D model that looked like it was rendered in game, and not just a mod. It's on the Sonic News Network like Wikia.
Shout out.
Well, no, like we said, she's in the Xbox version is a fully playable character, but I couldn't remember if the model was in the original game or not, but I think it is.
I believe it.
Also, I wouldn't be surprised if fans could like make nice renders of characters that would look like they would fit in this game.
Well, especially this level of like polygonal detail, I think is like really easy to emulate. Especially if you have any experience in 3D modeling.
Which I do not.
Which I do.
There's another...
That's not to say that I could do it, but that's because I don't know how to make good art.
Good art.
Good art.
There's another little thing I kind of appreciate about this game, is that when you do like a grab, which is punch and barrier, and press down against certain characters that have weapons, you can use it against you. So like
you can like grab Espio's tongue and like smack it into his face.
Or you can grab Amy's hammer and hit her with it, or take Fang's
pop gun
and shoot it back at him, and then take Bean's bomb and like put it in his beak.
Yeah, it's messed
yeah,
up.
that's right.
Like it looks like a pelican, and it's like a Looney Tunes joke.
Yeah. It's got that very slapstick Sonic situation going on.
It especially like helps the charm of the character design.
Right.
You know, because everybody's prop gets used against them in comical ways.
Yeah.
I also think it like works with Fang's pre-existing character setup, because the idea is that he tries like these weird things but they never work out and they always go like backfire.
Yeah. It's a good bit.
Amy also has like a grab move that she like points in a direction, like with like a large fan with like an exasperation, and then it confuses the player and you get like a free hit out of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you can use like Fang could like pull out an even bigger pop gun.
Yeah, and he's got like the super pop gun.
And Espio's tongue could like stretch like half the screen. It's great.
Jesus.
Fang also has a move where you scoop the enemy up, like you put your hands into their feet and then you flip into the air, and then he just like flails his arms around and shoots like corks everywhere.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah.
It's a very good move.
It reminds me of like Dr. Doom's plasma ray thing from Marvel's Capcom.
Yeah.
Fighting games.
I'm sorry.
No,
I like
you're
reference
good.
like Marvel's Capcom like 3 times already.
If it's helpful to reference, then reference it. Oh no, I found fan art of Honey the Cat.
Well,
that's
you're
problematic.
screwed. You've gone down the dark hole. You're now a furry. Sorry, Isaiah.
Oh no.
Oops.
I've been
They
trying
got
to
another one.
I've been trying to avoid the furry diagnosis for so long.
Is there anything else you guys want to talk about, or do you want to just go to thumbs?
Why do you think Bean and Bark are there? Do you think there's a reason?
I think it's because they needed extra fighters, because the Sonic Pantheon isn't that big to get another character in.
Well,
like
but
Rocket
we're
Metal
missing-
and Honey were probably planned, I guess, but
We're missing Ray and Mighty, and we're also missing all of the Chaotix, though. Like, why do you think that like Bean was chosen over Vector? Or I guess Bark might be the better comparison. even though he's not
I
great.
think the character
could
designer
you-
just wanted to put in some new characters. I don't know.
What's the like release date difference between this and Knuckles Chaotix? Because if it's not that big of a gap, right, then it could be that this game was in development at roughly the same time, and so those characters hadn't been established yet, so they had to establish their own instead.
Fighters was June of '96, and Knuckles Chaotix was April of '95.
Okay, yeah, never mind. But so, like, you know, in
Right.
theory it was, like, we don't have access to these characters, they don't exist for purposes of our design, so we gotta come up with new ones. But it could also be that they were like, what if we had a dude who threw bombs, and that was his bit, right? Because that's not really
they could
a
have
thing.
made, like, Tails throw bombs. They could have let you play as Eggman, you know?
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Tails literally. We played a game where Tails threw bombs.
Yeah,
That's
that was his
true.
whole thing.
No, you're right, that's a good point.
And they could have made Knuckles like the beefcake brawler, but
Yeah, he could have
Well-
had, like, grabs and stuff. It wouldn't have even made sense for him to have grabs, because
or
he, like,
they
clings
could have
the
made a
wall.
Vector that. But I guess
Even
I
in-
think it's
in-
cool that they took liberties to like add another character. Like it's like what you're talking
Yeah.
about with Sega Sonic. Just nice to have more characters.
Yeah, fresh
Yeah.
blood. Bark's design is also very cool.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say that. I really do like Bark's design a lot.
But
He's got a beanie. He's a polar bear with a beanie.
What's your favorite animation?
Oh man.
Like, what attack looks the coolest to you?
Yeah.
like
The spin dash. That's
I'm
it.
gonna kill you.
That's a joke.
I'd still go for like the Amy look over there
Yeah.
Because there's not a whole lot of unique moves in this.
I really like Fang's thing where he flips you up and then flails around and shoots bullets.
Yeah.
I like it's such a small thing, but I like when Bean throws a bomb, like he throws a bomb and then he like crouches and like plugs his ears.
Yeah.
I just really like that.
There's also Bean like rolling bombs like in the Mega Man or like Bomberman.
You can do a bomb kick. There's a lot of cool character stuff in this game.
I really like how everyone's hands expand, like the face slap that everyone has.
Oh yeah.
And then you like smack someone and their head flattens. It's pretty good.
It is really good.
I think my favorite has to be like the flailing pop gun though.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So I guess we're on to thumbs up then, huh?
So what's our poll gonna be?
Oh yeah. I was thinking like, what's your favorite new character for the game? So we can do Bark, Bean, Rocket Metal, and Honey.
Amy.
No, not Amy. Honey. Get out of here.
Yeah.
You mean Rosie the
Amy's
Rascal?
been in 3 other games? She's been in CD, Drift, and Drift 2?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Is there anything else that she's been in?
I don't think so.
You mean like besides fighting Vipers, if that counts?
Well, no, that's not a Sonic game, but yeah, it is interesting. No, yeah, I think she's only been in those 3 things.
Okay. So we got Bark, Bean,
Rocket Metal, and
Honey. Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. Who's your guys' favorite out of those?
For me, it is Bark.
Okay, I'm glad Isaiah answered first because now when we all pick Bark, he can't go back on it.
That's part of why I answered first, so that I would know for myself that it was true and I wasn't just picking Bark because other people didn't.
Do you guys like how in the like magic carpet level there's a Sonic Sphinx in the background?
Yeah.
It's there for ancient Egypt.
That's so silly, and I love it.
I just
Bark is also my favorite of the new characters.
Bark is my favorite, but I'm casting my vote for Honey because of course I am. Also, I just realized
She's
that
a really cool design as well.
This game had a plush line.
Really?
So you can theoretically get a plush of Bean or Bark.
Okay,
and
hold
Fang
up,
for that
hold
matter,
up.
and Espio.
How much is it?
Hold up.
I have no idea. I was just looking through the gallery section on the wiki, and they're just there. And it has like a makeshift Mushroom Hill background, like it has a little mushroom barrier and some spores on the ground.
If you want to express your support of this podcast for the podcast, buy me these plushies.
Isaiah, just remember, you've got to send out your address for that to work.
All right, so
you're using your influencer privileges.
I'll get a PO box. It'll be worth it for the plushies.
I'll get a PO box.
I'll get a PO box. Yeah.
I can't find them on sale online, but I can find pictures.
I mean, they're probably super rare. Like,
no doubt.
It could have been just a Japan release.
Here's a SonicGear.org has what appears to be a gallery of plushies. They're not for sale, but they're all like documented.
Weird.
Yeah, it's like here's this Chow plush. Here's this like this different Chow plush that looks like it was like produced differently with a slightly different design, etc.
I'm looking up Bark the polar bear, and all I'm finding is real like polar bear plushes.
Sonic the Fighters.
Do you want me to post the image? I realized I didn't.
Do it.
Well, I mean, I found, like I said, I found images of it. I'm trying to find where I can like buy it, to get an idea of.
I found an 8.5-minute YouTube video entitled "Sonic the Fighters Bean Plush Review."
What does he have to say?
I can't imagine all of those 8 minutes are necessary, but.
Okay, I found collections of Sonic plushes. None of them are from the fighters, but there's one of Vector that's pretty good.
This Bean plush is really like flat. Like he's a really thin bean.
Does it look like he got smacked with the move? Like...
It looks like it's the opposite. Instead of his head being flat one way, it's flat the other way.
Oh, I see.
Like he's got like a big beak and like a mohawk. Like that's what he looks like.
Weird.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a yawn. Weird.
I did find a good Bark plush though. Which is also a plush review.
One for sale. I found a picture of a plush Chow. I think it's actually specifically cheese, but it's a plush Chow with a $1 bill in front of it to show scale.
Guys, we're just looking at merchandise now.
I'm giving it a thumbs up.
Let's
Yeah.
move on to thumbs.
I'll give it a thumbs up. It's not the biggest thumbs up, though. I don't think this is the best fighting game.
Yeah, I think, honestly, the gameplay for me is the least good thing about it. Like,
I mean, like, it's definitely playable, but it's just not...
It's the
I would
novelty.
pick... There are a lot
really
of other fighting games that I would pick before this one.
I really like the art, I really like the character design, and I really like the music. And the gameplay is, like, just good enough that it keeps me appreciating those things.
I think this game is slightly better gameplay than Drift with slightly less flavor, I guess. So Drift 2 specifically, not First Drift.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
give it
think
a thumbs
Drift
up.
2 is in a similar vein of, like, this is a game where you collect a bunch of Sonic characters and they do fun things in environments.
Mm-hmm. So we're all 3 thumbs?
Yeah. I don't think... There's no reason to, like, dislike this game, I don't think, really. It's just, like, not an amazing fighting game, but it's certainly competent.
Yeah. All right.
Follow us at No Spin Dash Zone.
Yeah, on Twitter.
Yeah.
And email us at No Spin Dash Zone.
No,
at Gmail.
At Gmail. All right. Yeah,
about
Charlie
to say
does
slash.
the enthusiastic. Charlie does the enthusiastic bit of the plug, and then Steven does the accurate bit. I'm liking that dynamic.
And
So, our next game that we'll be playing is Sonic 3D Blast.
so the important thing to
I'm
consider
excited.
is, will I eat my words, what I said about Sonic Labyrinth?
I'll make you eat those words.
And
that
the
would-
the
would-
other question is like, will I like it? Because I said earlier that I didn't like it.
Also, follow me at Draws Charlie. I somehow have a lot more followers now.
Yeah. Well, it's because you retweeted a lot of those, like, artists
Yeah.
retweet.
And then
I'll
Twitter
follow
thought I
you.
got hacked.
Yeah, it's a good bit.
It was
We're also
scary.
going to be playing. We're also going to be playing the director's cut of Sonic 3D Blast, right? Was that the plan?
Are we?
Well, yeah, I wanted to check that out.
Yeah.
We'll be discussing the main game, but we'll definitely check that out and have a little segment for it. I
Yeah,
think.
we'll certainly bring it up at the very least.
Yeah.
You can follow me, Isaiah, at twitter.com/IsaiahGames. That's ISIAH Games. I tweet about jokes, video games, and video game development, and also I retweet tweets about this podcast. But if you follow the podcast, you'll already get those, so that doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's the one.
I'm working on my pitch, my Twitter pitch,
Just take a note from Charlie.
and don't care.
Well, just
Exactly.
say like, here's my art. It may not be great, but you should look at it anyway.
I feel like you like kind of don't want people to follow you. Like
Nah,
you're
dude.
you're like follow Draws Charlie or don't. Goodbye, and then you like hide.
I can't
No, he's
promise
nail-
people quality, Isaiah. I
Yeah.
just speak the truth.
Okay,
Charlie's just playing the hard to get game. He wants people to come after his art.
that's
It's like
fair.
how you should interact with a cat, you know.
I want to read. I want
Wrapped
to
in
read.
cat.
I want to read a tweet that I made. Just to show you the kind of content you're in for if you follow me on Twitter.
Hashtag
Oh boy,
not an
preview.
ad.
And I am stalling for time because my phone is making me type in my entire password to log in because it's been too long since the
Oh.
last time they did that.
My God.
Why don't you
Um,
just use your browser?
Here's a tweet from me that
Oh my
if
God.
I tweeted on November 3rd, I tweeted concept scratch and sniff emojis. And if that's the kind of tweet that you want to see more of, follow me at twitter.com/IsaiahGames. That's ISIAH Games.
And that
Goodbye.
was Twitter Poetry with Isaiah.
Goodbye,
Yeah, dude.
everyone.
Bye.
We'd like to thank the LAG Network for making our episodes available on platforms like iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and lots more. If you're listening on YouTube and you'd like to keep up with our episodes on one of these audio platforms, just search for the LAG Radio Network and follow their feed.